Francis here. This is course number 5. This is all about navigating emotions, and this particular class is about panic and fear. Okay, I think we need to understand a little bit about the brain and about the body chemistry. Anger and love also have lots of body chemistry, really impactful of the brain as well, but I didn't go into that as much. But I want you to understand the brain more with panic and fear so that you can decide that the emotion of fear is a spice of life. It also is a navigation system. It's really important to know that your fear is generally there as a signal anxiety, Freud used to call it, but it's there to give you information about something that's not quite right. It's there to keep you safe, right? But also fear is something that once it's been exposed to abuse and trauma tends to be at a high level so that it always is kind of there until recovery is fully successful. It's always kind of there because it's been heightened inside of you. There's always a sense of something could happen. The unpredictable could happen. This could happen. How do we plan for it? Loss of control. A sense of like your heart beating without even knowing about it. It's like there's nothing here to make me frightened, but I'm so frightened. Or then you have your own imaginations, your own nightmares, your own memories of things that activate fear inside you. And fear, as with other emotions, actually does not know the difference between your imagination, a good movie, and an actual event. Isn't that? Emotions are influenced by your mind, your thoughts, your imagination, and the input of what goes on around you as well. But it's not that discriminating. You might be able to more quickly go to a horror movie and go, oh, this is terrifying, then tell yourself this is just a movie. So you can kind of have that answer, oh, I'm terrified. There's the answer, it's just a movie. So you might be able to answer the fear a little quicker. Or, gee, I'm walking through the streets and I don't know, I don't see anything, but this doesn't feel quite safe. It's dark at night and I don't know, what's that sound? It's like you're kind of like hyper attentive, hyper alert, because that sense of, I don't know if this is safe or not may be there. But once you've experienced abuse and trauma, the I don't know, this may be safe or not is not usually answered with, it's okay. I don't know, is this okay? Oh yeah, that's just a cat. See, it's answered. Is this okay? Oh yeah, that's the wind hitting the, it's like you can answer the fears so much easier when you're, not so activated. But now that you've gone through abuse and trauma, you have been more activated. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's not what I want for you. It's not what you want for yourself, but you've been more activated. And those portions of your brain that are radiated from the back of your brain, your primitive brainstem, and extend to all sorts of aspects of your brain, but extend in this fashion, they're like, oh my gosh, everything is upsetting, everything's potentially dangerous, everything, there's no discrimination. It's just all on hyper alert. It's like we in the airport are on code red, and it never stops being code red. Or we are in fire danger in a canyon, so it always stays on high alert for the fire danger. We are in code blue in a hospital. We never get off of code blue, as opposed to, okay, everything's okay. We're back at a good place. It's like, oh, everything's okay. That's a great way to answer, right? Oh, what's going on? Okay, everything's okay. So here's what I'm trying to illustrate to you is that now that you've been activated and you're at a much higher level, it's much harder to say, oh, everything's okay, but it's important that you do. So I always think of fear as something that needs to have an answer. So consider it a dialogue inside of you. All emotions are about a dialogue inside you, but fear requires you to answer back. Are we okay? Well, let's check it out is an answer. Are we okay? I don't know. Let's look around. Okay, we've looked around. I think we're okay. Are we okay? Yes, we absolutely are okay because we've put these particular things in check, so we know we're okay. It's just like, are we okay? Are we okay? Is this something going on? So you want to be able to answer it. And the answering to the fear is a way of empowering yourself. It's a way of being able to have that dialogue, and it's also a way of being able to take a deep breath in. We are okay. It's that kind of idea. So that is the answer for it. Now, what happens when we loop ourselves into a fear cycle or we loop ourselves into a panic attack cycle? So I'm going to talk about a cycle. Okay, the cycle, if you had one panic attack, you will understand what I'm saying, but otherwise you've had that traumatic event in you, you've had it there it is, it's lodged, it's a reality. And now everything else inside you for a period of time is going to be referencing that experience. And for a period of time, it's going to reference it a lot. And then maybe a little bit less, and then a little bit less. It does tend to tap her down, even if you don't do much work on it. The more work you do on it, the more you answer, when the alarm goes off, the more you answer it, the easier it is for you to have some sort of active control over when it's going to be calming itself down. That's a way of enacting, a way of answering, a way of you being in charge. It's a way of you skillfully be able to maneuver your way through this valley of fear that you're trying to walk through as you recovery. So here you are activated, and everything when you have a panic attack is now referencing the horrible feelings you had when you had a panic attack. Your heart was racing, maybe it was arrhythmic, or maybe it was just racing all over the place. Your breathing was hard to breathe. Maybe you couldn't remember or focus. You felt completely at risk. Everything inside you was shaking. I mean, the panic attack has lots of different symptoms, but the overall experience is, I never want to experience that again. So now I'm going to live on high alert. Am I having another one? And that high alert says, I never want to experience it again, but now I'm going to say to myself falsely, in order to never have it again, I'm going to remain on high alert, and that high alert is really pretty close to that panic. So here's the panic level, and maybe this is the high alert level, not too far. So you can activate yourself here pretty quickly just by having a moment, just by being a little triggered, because you're already up there. So here it is, high alert comes out. So when the high alert means you're just vigilant, but now you're vigilant of your inside of your body. The panic attack is about, the inside of my body feels like I'm about to have a panic attack. I can't control it, I'm out of control, here it comes, oh, there it is. And what happens is it's that self-fulfilling prophecy. It's just really upsetting. A majority of the second panic attacks that happen after the first are self-fulfilling prophecy, because you check in with yourself to see if you're having a panic attack. You see a little bit of symptom, but then now that makes you have more anxiety, so you have more symptom, and you have more anxiety because that increase of symptom, and you have more anxiety because of that third level of increase of that symptoms, and it just exacerbates until you're finally into full-blown panic attack. And if you don't answer that urge of panic or fear really quickly in the cycle, then it goes the full way, and so now you've had your second panic attack. But your second panic attack may not be related to anything in particular. So I'll give you a very benign experience, and that is if you're driving a car and you have this physiological panic attack inside your body because maybe your thyroid is overactive, or maybe because you had too much caffeine, or maybe because you had an allergic reaction to alcohol, and here you have this panic attack, but you associate it to driving. So now you say, well, I don't know, can I drive? I mean, you just shoot me right to a panic attack. So you get behind the wheel and suddenly you feel this kind of nervousness because your body has memory. It remembers that behind the wheel last time you had a panic attack. And so your body goes into memory. So you have to answer the memory and say, oh yeah, that's what we did yesterday, but we're fine today. See, that's an answer to it. And you're telling your body, oh yeah, you're remembering yesterday. You're remembering the panic attack. You're remembering the abuse. You're remembering the trauma. Of course, you're remembering what you went through, and you're attaching that memory to this moment because this moment has similarities to that moment. So, okay, you're remembering. And that's an answer, yes, of course you're feeling afraid. You're remembering the horrible thing we went through. So that memory inside you may be associated to the activation of fear or the activation of panic attack. So you want to say, oh, I'm having a memory, and my body is remembering, and my body cannot differentiate between the memory that's in my imagination and the actual situation that's in my environment. And since your feelings are activated by imagination, it's activated by memory, it's activated by visual stimulus of a movie. So since it's activated when it's not even connected to a real, authentic situation, your emotions can resonate with things that are completely benign. That's what's so befuddling, is that our emotions can connect because of imagination, because of memory, because someone gives a suggestion, because we watch a movie, because we have a moment and we don't even know what's stimulating it. And our emotions won't know the difference between real and not real. This is one reason why I say don't necessarily trust your feelings. People say, just trust yourself, just trust your feelings. And my response is no. Feelings are spices. They move in and they move out. They respond. They're reactive. They're taking in. They're not discerning. Emotions are not discerning situations. So don't use them for discernment. Instead, you can use different aspects of yourself all collectively. And if your emotions also line up with a whole lot of information, then okay, then your emotions are lined up. There's synchronization, there's synergism inside yourself. Now you can make decisions based on emotions, but it's not just emotions. It's the whole package of who you are is lining up. And that's when you can trust emotions, is when they're lined up with what's authentically your best, wisest, most savvy discernment of the situations. But rarely are emotions trustworthy for discernment. Ever so often they are. People often say, in my gut I felt something, or I just felt ill at ease, and they'll point to their chest, or I don't know, I just sensed something was off. And so what this actually is not emotions as much as physiological responses that are recorded to your body's memory, recorded to all the stimuli that your brain is likely taking in at the same time. And you don't even know how that 10,000 pieces of data are being consulted by your brain that's informing your body, that's informing your emotions, and that's informing you in the moment to make a decision. It's complex, right? So you want to be as discerning as you can. You want to use the whole of who you are and not just your feelings. And this is especially true when you're talking about love, and when you're talking about anger, when you're talking about fear, talking about sadness and depression. It's especially true. They're not to be trusted. They may be there to be experienced, or they may be there to be navigated, so that you can put your best forward effort, your best foot forward, your best effort in being able to say, I'm feeling this, now let's exercise discernment. And we'll be talking more about being able to travel with the power of your imagination and thoughts in another course. And I'm just introducing this idea to you now. So now let's go back to the panic attack. One thing that's very important is that when an individual starts having a panic attack, the next one may have occurred, the next one, and these are piled in top of you, making you feel very out of control, making you feel like, oh, this is awful. So you want to start intervening and answering. Sometimes people intervene by having a little bit of psychopharmaceutical medication that calms them down in the moment, or they have a particular type of amino acid or supplement or mineral. So magnesium and calcium and zinc are a combination. For some people it's very relaxing. Melatonin at nighttime can cause a person to sleep very deeply. You can have GABA or 5-HTP, which supplement the dopamine, which can move you into balance so that you reduce your anxiety, but you can still have emotions that are present for you. So these are just examples that you can research. I'm not recommending, I'm just asking you to research. These are supplements. You can have wheat bread or white flour along with a turkey sandwich with mayonnaise, and that may calm you down. You can have hot milk with vanilla, even for some people hot milk with chocolate, and that has components in it that can calm you down. There may be foods that you use that just chill you out. You want to kind of know what those are. So these are supplements that you can answer. Oh, I'm feeling anxious, and you go to this. Now, are you feeding your feelings? You bet you are, because feelings are biochemical in nature, and to alter the biochemistry of your body is feeding your emotions. And remember, to be able to be fully in your body that remembers these emotions without necessarily having it connected to anything else is really important. So you want to be able to say, well, my biochemistry of my body is reacting like fear, but there's nothing to be afraid of. What can I do to influence the test tube of my body that would make it better? Do I need more water? Do I need hydration? Is there something here that will even me out? Or did I have all that coffee? And even liquor has a way of both depressing and activating. Is there something going on in my body? Am I having a perimenopausal experience or menopausal experience? Am I having an upsurge of progesterone, or an imbalance between estrogen and progesterone, or there's my testosterone. It's all these, because it's the biochemistry of your body that influences your brain, that can translate itself into emotions. So some people, when they're having a panic attack, can respond to it biochemically, and just biochemically just create a little shift that says, oh, you know what, I'm kind of in control of this moment. I can do that. I can reach that. So now I'm less likely to create a response to this feeling in me that's going to lead to a panic attack that's actually responding to the self-fulfilled process of your own internal dial. And so you go over here and you go, okay, now I can intervene on my behalf. There it is, my intervention. Whatever that intervention is, it's an answer. So that's the way I'm talking about. Anytime you have fear, you want to have an answer. So a lot of the exercises that you'll see here on the knowledge gain and the self-reflection is, okay, let's plan your answers out. How are you going to respond when you suddenly are afraid to go to the mall where you know there was a shooting or there was a murder? Frightening. What are you going to do? How do you navigate? What safeguards you? How do you answer your fear? Do you answer your fear by saying, you know, I'm not ready to go to the mall? Okay, that's fine. So you're not going to that place. Do you answer by saying, you know, I am tuned in. I've got my sprays. I've got my equipment. I know self-defense. I lock my car. I check the back of my seat before I get in. I don't walk in the carport by myself. I mean, just, you know, I answer my fears. So that's the very key is associated to fear. You intervene on your behalf, knowing that your fears have been seriously upped. Your vigilance, we could call it paranoia, not clinical, but just the scrutinizing it. When it begins to lower, then your reactions begin to lower. You begin to know. So then now when you get to this kind of normal level, when your fear goes up, it may not go all the way up, or it may go all the way up, but you can answer it coming down if you're not in danger. Or if it goes up, then you can say, you know what, it hasn't gone up in a long time. Check my environment. Check what's going outside me. Check what's going inside me. And that is kind of like an SK. Check it out. And now that we've checked it out to the best of our ability, we have discerned that we need to take these following actions. And that's discernment. Again, that's on a very different level. Now, some of you are feelers. You feel everything. You are empaths. You feel everything. You feel someone else's emotions or what you think they're going through as if it's yours. You may have been told that you're intuitive and psychic as a consequence, and that's a whole nother discussion there. But right now, you are feelers, or everything that goes on inside you, you just feel. You're just in a constant state of emotions. You feel and you feel and you feel, and that's what you do. So as a feeler, you have to answer these very differently, because your ability to think and answer on a thinking level is not as profoundly developed, but your ability to feel is very profoundly developed. And something that you have to take into consideration, something that you have to take into consideration is, have you become a feeler because you're actually reacting to a history of abuse and trauma? So you feel your way through things, and when you're abused as a young child, when really all you have are your proprioceptive senses, those are very primitive in the animal kingdom. What I mean by primitive is not that they're unworthy, because they're very worthy, but they're this sensory package that are all about survival on the most basic of levels, where you cannot think. It's not about thinking, it's about sensing. And it's not about processing and discerning and making wise decisions and acting on your own behalf and having control. It's just about reacting. So on this, if you have been traumatized at those ages, and for a prolonged or a very sudden situation, you will realize that you're tuned into feelings and you almost can't even hear anything else inside of you process things. And that's when I ask you to exercise thought, imagination, and discernment to prepare answers for these feelings that you have, so that you can actually activate your thinking capacity, those thoughts and intelligence. You can actually implement understanding how to deal with the biochemistry of your body, and then you can actually respond to your feelings in a way that is a complete package and not merely on this proprioceptive level. There are other words out there related to it as well, but that's one. That's good enough for now. So do your exercise, do your meditation. One more thing, I do have to say that mindfulness and meditation are two really good ways to learn how to be at peace. I have another book called Own Your Peace, KISS Method of Inner Peaceful Living. And it also talks about how to groom an inner peaceful consciousness, which does on some level help you be able to soothe the wild waters of your feelings so that you can navigate your sailboat through those waters in a satisfying way. Not trying to get rid of emotions, just trying to make them so they don't capsize your ship. All right, we'll see you in the next class. Bye.